Alert! Incoming reviewer transmission.
Put it on!
Yo.
Oh, it's you, Creepy. Look, if this is to get on my case about Reluctant Werewolf, I warned you about how bad that was gonna be!
Nah, we're good. Though, Chibi Thulu does have a beef with your cats.
He didn't have to try and sell those plants to Stupidiot!
Well, at any rate, I was browsing through the dark web looking for any shows that might have ripped off Jim and the Holograms, and I may have come across something that's right up your alley.
Yeah, what the heck, I've had problems filling out this year's schedule anyway. Okay, hit me with what you got.
She's a clown, but she's no fool. She breaks up Ben's most every rule. Little Rosey, that's our little Rosey.
This is your revenge for me saying Desperate Housewives wasn't that bad, isn't it? Well, I guess this is appropriate to start ending the hell of 2020 on. So you all know about the baby obsession in the 80s and 90s, right? Get your heads out of the gutter right now! I'm talking about how, after Jim Henson created a successful animated TV series depicting all of his beloved Muppets characters as toddlers, everyone had to jump on the bandwagon. And soon the animated airwaves were littered with cartoons about every single character imaginable depicted as a diaper-wearing dreamer who could turn their bedroom into the realm of Dungeons and Dragons, all with the power of imagination. If only that could work now at my age and I'd have Barbara Eden and Amy Jo Johnson in my bed.
Each time someone says that, I'm reminded of my own crush on Thuy Trang. I was no stranger to the whatever babies craze of the time period. I think everyone would like to forget about Yo Yogi.
Don't remind me!
Well, I didn't think it was all that bad. Besides, time does strange things to us besides make us crave Popeye's chicken.
Getting off topic!
My main point is, among the plethora of Muppet Babies ripoffs, there's one that has definitely faded into obscurity.
Full disclosure, I never liked Roseanne Barr. Even back when she was a major TV star, years before she self-destructed her career through political ranting, I always thought she was unfunny, a pain to listen to, and just an overall unlikable personality, both in real life and on the screen. So yeah, I'm already not having good vibes upon hearing that she actually helped create an animated TV series based off of her own childhood memories. Produced by Nelvana. Man, it's amazing how much that studio is suddenly being mentioned in my videos in the past year or so. The show aired on ABC Saturday mornings starting in the fall of 1990. Which explains how I never heard of it before now, because my dial back then was firmly tuned into CBS for a couple of reasons.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Roseanne Barr or her sitcom either. However, I did watch Little Rosey. It might have come on at a different schedule than the one Rowdy saw, since I remember being able to catch both Garfield and Ninja Turtles before switching over to ABC. Either way, the basic premise is that Rosey, her younger sister Tess, and their friend from next door, Buddy, have adventures using the power of imagination! And yeah, that's pretty much it.
What an exciting cartoon, huh?
So we went from a domestic goddess struggling to make ends meet and raise her kids in a small town to this. This is Little Rosey. Now, for the record, I was only able to dig up 5 of the 13 episodes this show had. So apologies in advance on that one. Hopefully this will be enough to get the general gist of the show. The first episode we have is I Did It Without Decimals, which is about little Rosey struggling to do her math homework and getting so fed up with figuring out how to use decimal points that she begins imagining a future where she basically becomes ruler of the world despite not ever using decimals. Until aliens show up offering her the secrets of the universe if she can solve a math problem that involves decimals. Because, you know, that's sure to happen one day.
Why am I not surprised that global conquest was one of Roseanne Barr's life goals as a child?
Then we have Super Rosey, where Rosey and her friends accidentally kick a ball into the old crotchety next-door neighbor's yard, and this somehow morphs into a sequence where they all become superhero kids out to thwart the plans of evil adults. Anyway, it doesn't matter because once Rosey snaps back to reality, she decides to just knock on the neighbor's door and ask politely for the ball back.
As long as you promise to try and keep it in your yard in the future.
We promise. Thank you, ma'am.
Huh. And it worked. My own black heart isn't sure how to take this.
So, the general idea is that the whole world is against Rosey. Or, at the very least, that's how it seems to her. So she dives down into her own fantasy world as a coping mechanism and looks for a resolution that way.
Oh, so they're not ripping off Muppet Babies at all! No, they're ripping off Bobby's World. Well, maybe that's the case. This show is in that which came first category, right there with Studio 60 versus 30 Rock. Turns out Little Rosey and Bobby's World came out at the same time. And I mean really the same time. As in they premiered on the same damn day. What the frack? Did Roseanne hit up Howie Mandel at a rave somewhere, catch on about his show he was producing, and then jump to the Canadian border to pitch her own show? Other than that, the show does pretty much have a Pete and Pete, Angela Anaconda vibe to it. It depicts the main character as having the world against her, be it in the form of either the adults or these geek kids who look like cultists in training.
Or maybe Mormons?
Is there any real difference?
Two other episodes that stood out for me was Spelling Behemoth and War of the Rosey. In the case of the first, Rosey suffers from performance jitters before she has to go up against one of the class nerds in a spelling bee. How does she cope with this? By imagining herself fighting in a gladiatorial arena against the Queen Bee. Yes, Queen Bee. It's a title. Anyway, the two have to attack one another with their own loquaciousness. And before you all ask, I am being 100% literal here. They attack each other by shouting out words that the opponent has to spell out before getting KO'd by enormous letters encased in balls of flying wax. Wrap your noggins around that one. War of the Rosey has Jeffrey and Matthew, the two twin terror nerds, take over the local clubhouse so they can do an extra credit science project on a solar eclipse. Rosey spends much of the episode trying to evict them with Tess and Buddy's help, before finally concluding that the duo are simply too smart for them. Her solution, therefore, is to engage in full-on psychological warfare by staging an alien invasion so the twins will panic and flee the clubhouse to warn the rest of the world. This girl would give Lucy Van Pelt a run for her money. Goddess forbid they ever join forces.
You just ruined any hope I had of sleeping soundly through 2021. You realize that, right?
For what it's worth, none of this is a terrible idea. I was criticized for having too active of an imagination as a kid. Growing up on a farm meant no cable TV, and this was in the era before the internet. So, using my imagination to entertain myself and cope with life's problems was pretty much the only way to stay sane. And this series actually encourages that. Every episode concludes with Rosey having a better understanding of the world around her than when it started off. And all of that comes from her putting the pieces together in a more fantastical setting.
Hey, Rowdy had those types of fantasies too! Yeah!
Remember back when he and the four of us had to rescue Princess Diana from space pirates?
Do you guys ever shut up? Still, none of this was able to get the show more than the 13-episode season, compared to Bobby's World, which lasted 7 seasons. Somehow I think Howie wasn't invited to a lot of Roseanne's parties after that. But as to my take on Little Rosie, it could have been worse. This is basically making an animated version of all those afternoon syndicated kids sitcoms from the 80s that threw in slice-of-life lessons all the damn time. It's not a terrible watch to be sure, and surely one big reason for that is one very important element that was outsourced for this show: the main character's voice. I'm guessing Roseanne herself couldn't provide the voice due to being too busy with the main live-action show, but hey, I ain't complaining that I don't have to hear her gravelly grousing on this thing. Other than that, it's just kinda forgetful. Besides the de-aged celebrity star characters, there just isn't anything to make the show really exciting or stand out from the other shows it was clearly inspired by.
Yeah, it's not a show that'll be making a comeback anytime soon, but a series that encourages children to think outside the box and use their imaginations to find solutions to problems, even if it's a bit fantastical and sometimes weird. Well, that's not a bad thing. There was also a TV special made after the show got canned called The Rosey and Buddy Show, where the duo invade Cartoonland. Except Cartoonland has been taken over by corporate executives who are personified as weasels. Rosey and Buddy are then condemned to a mental institution as punishment for not falling in line, and have to help the other inmates stage a prison break. Yeah, Roseanne was none too happy with the cartoon getting cancelled, or with the number of changes executives wanted to make for season 2.
So Roseanne Barr actually created a one-shot spin-off dedicated to telling network meddlers to shove it. Damn it, I don't want to respect her!
Well, no one will ever accuse Miss Barr of understanding nuance. So, no hard feelings, I hope?
You're off the hook with me. But my buddy the wrestling mark's still be coming after you.
What?
4 words: Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery.
Oh, crud.